President Rouhani just announced that it doesn't really matter to Iran who becomes the next president of the United States. In either way, whether it's Trump or Biden, the next U.S. president will have to submit to the will of the Iranian nation. So that sounds like almost a victory speech. We're not hearing a real victory speech out of Trump. We're hearing Trump whining about supposedly being robbed of his victory. We're not hearing a real victory speech out of Biden, who is hemming and hawing and saying, "Oh, it looks like we've won." And maybe we will eventually hear one out of Biden, but so far the only victory we're hearing is coming out of Iran, where the real winner of this presidential election in the U.S. is Iran. And I say that because Iran has withstood 4 years of horrendous attacks from the Zionist-controlled US. Donald Trump was put in power by the Likud-connected element of the Kosher Nostra, which is an ethnically Jewish global organized crime syndicate with tentacles into the Israeli Mossad. The so-called Russian oligarchs, including the world's biggest organized crime figure, Semion Mogilevich, are essentially the people behind Trump. Here in the U.S., it's Sheldon Adelson, the Las Vegas gangster. So there's this Likud party-connected gangster syndicate. These are the people also linked to Benjamin Netanyahu, and they selected Trump to be president in 2016, and they rigged the voting machines in the key swing states. Any comparison of the actual polls, both pre-election and exit polls, with the ostensible totals vomited up by these black box voting machines makes it absolutely clear that these machines are being programmed. The only question is by whom, and they continually deliver red shifts. That is, they provide Republicans with vast outpourings of non-existent votes in every single major election. And they did that in 2016. Apparently, though, those people didn't rig the machines enough to overcome the massive blue tsunami Biden landslide in this election. I'm not saying that as a Biden supporter. I didn't vote for Biden. I have no use for Biden. I agree with many of Trump's positions more than I agree with Biden. However, I am in the reality-based community, as Karl Rove would put it, and I recognize that Jonathan Simon's work on the black box voting machines is accurate. So in any case, this election is a real meltdown for the U.S. at every level, and it's a meltdown for the Trump administration's failed attempts to crush Iran on behalf of Netanyahu and his Likud Zionist extremists. So that's why Iran has every right to claim victory, as President Rouhani did. And he also accurately pointed out that the next president is going to have to submit to Iran's terms. If it's Trump, Trump will probably just lick his wounds and slink away. Trump could never talk the American military into going after Iran, and he probably didn't really want to. Trump's a coward and not interested in military adventures, which is good, but he will certainly not be starting anything big against Iran unless the Israelis decide they want to try a big false flag and sink a ship in the Gulf during this last couple of months of Trump's presidency. Hopefully that won't happen. So if Biden is president, which looks very likely at this point, we can expect that Iran will dictate the terms of restoring the JCPOA or bringing the U.S. back into the JCPOA. And Biden will try to get face-saving concessions. Iran will not make any real concessions. So whether or not the U.S. comes back into the JCPOA, it doesn't really matter. Iran has won. Iran has got its independence. Hopefully, Iran can make its deals with China in such a way as to protect Iranian interests and not allow for any outsized Chinese interests. But Iran is very smart to be hedging its bets with the West and to be investing in the future, which is indeed the Belt and Road Initiative. So Iran is a huge winner in this American presidential election. And Trump and Netanyahu and all those people are eventually going to have to face the fact that they lost.